Hello class. Today we're going to do another flip lesson and it is going to be on the powers of 10. We've been learning about ordering decimals, percents, and fractions, and we're also going to add scientific notation to that ordering. But in order to do scientific notation, we need to know a little bit about the powers of 10. So you should have your notes, something to write with, and a calculator. So at the top of your notes, you have a review it section. I want you to take a few minutes to complete that review section on your own and bring it to class. You can use your vocabulary notes, so you can pause this video and finish that part, and then we'll start with the notes section. So what do we need to know? We need to know the definition of what exponential form is. That is one of your vocabulary words for the week, so it should be in your vocabulary notes, and we're going to complete that definition together. Exponential form is an expression that represents a number that can be multiplied by itself repeatedly. So for example, if we want to multiply 3 by itself repeatedly 3 times, we can write the exponential form as 3 cubed. So when talking about real numbers and the forms, we can talk about fractional form, decimal form, percent form, and now we're going to add exponential form. So let's take 1/10 and find an equivalent decimal form, which we know would be 0.1 or 1/10. And an equivalent percent form would be 10%. Remember, when you convert from a decimal to a percent, you can move the decimal 2 places to get the percent value. And the equivalent exponential form would be 10 to the negative first power. And we will talk about negative and positive exponents. So let's talk specifically about powers of 10. That is another vocabulary word, and it is an exponential form with a base of 10. So we can write any of these in the table as a power of 10. And they all have positive exponents. So let's talk about expanding each one of those. 10 to the 5th power means multiplying 10 by itself repeatedly 5 times. So when we expand it, we just write out the multiplication problem. 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 and one more times 10. 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you want to use your calculators to figure out the product, it's 100,000. So 10 to the 4th would be 10 multiplied by itself 4 times. And the product of that would be 10,000. 10 to the 3rd power would be 10 times 10 times 10, and the product of that would be 1,000. 10 to the second power would be 10 times 10, which is 100. And 10 to the first power is 10. And 10 to the 0 power. 10 to the 0 power is actually 1. And that there's always a lot of questions on why, and I'll talk about that later towards the end of the lesson. But most people memorize 10 to the 0 power is 1. Actually, anything with a 0 power is 1. So we'll talk about it in a little bit. But what I want you to do and bring to class is figure out the answer to these questions. What patterns do you see when you do the positive powers of 10? Predict what 10 to the 6th power would be, and predict what 10 to the negative first power would be. So now you're going to have to watch part 2 of this lesson, where we talk about the powers of 10 with negative exponents, and I'll also talk about 10 to the 0 power.